Hello, my wonderful friends. Welcome back to Golden Wisdom Daily, your go-to place for practical, heartfelt tips on living a healthy, joyful, and vibrant life in our golden years. I'm your name, and I'm so thrilled to have you here today, whether you're joining me from the US, the UK, or anywhere else in the world. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is where we share wisdom to help you feel your best after 60, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Today, we're diving into something that affects so many of us. 5 foods to avoid for better joint health after 60. Let's be honest, joint pain or stiffness can make it harder to enjoy the activities we love, like gardening, walking with grandkids, or even getting up from a chair. I remember talking to my friend Susan, who's 67, about how her knees ached after long days, and she wondered if her diet was part of the problem. She made some simple changes, and she told me, "I feel like I can move so much easier now." That's what inspired today's video, helping you protect your joints by avoiding foods that might be making things worse. In this video, I'm going to share 5 foods you should consider cutting back on to support your joint health, backed by science and real-life stories. These are foods that can increase inflammation or stress your joints, and I'll explain why and what to eat instead. I'm not a doctor or nutritionist, but I've spent years researching and learning from experts to bring you advice that's clear and practical. If you have arthritis, joint conditions, or dietary restrictions, please check with your doctor or a dietitian before making changes. All right, grab a comfy seat, maybe a glass of water, and let's explore these foods to avoid for healthier joints in your golden years. Food 1. Sugary foods and drinks. Let's start with one of the biggest culprits for joint health, sugary foods and drinks. Things like sodas, candies, pastries, and even sweetened coffee drinks can seem harmless, but they can wreak havoc on your joints. Sugar triggers inflammation in the body, which can worsen joint pain, especially for those of us with arthritis. After 60, our bodies are more sensitive to inflammation, and cutting back on sugar can make a big difference. The Arthritis Foundation explains a high sugar intake increases the production of inflammatory molecules called cytokines, which can aggravate joint pain. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who consume sugary drinks regularly have a higher risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis. My neighbor Tom, who's 66, used to love his daily soda but noticed his knees felt stiffer. He switched to water and herbal tea, and he says, "My joints don't ache as much now." Why is sugar so bad? It spikes your blood sugar, leading to inflammation and even weight gain, which puts extra pressure on your joints. Sugary foods also lack nutrients, so they don't support your body's repair processes. Common sources include obvious treats like donuts and cookies, but also hidden sugars in things like flavored yogurts, granola bars, or even salad dressings. So what can you do? Try cutting back on sugary drinks. Swap soda for sparkling water with a splash of lemon or iced herbal tea. For snacks, choose fresh fruit like berries, which have natural sweetness and anti-inflammatory antioxidants. Read labels to spot hidden sugars. Look for words like high fructose corn syrup or cane sugar. If you crave something sweet, a small piece of dark chocolate, 70% cocoa or higher, is a better choice. Aim to keep added sugars below 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 for men, as recommended by the American Heart Association. If you have diabetes or other conditions, work with a dietitian to manage sugar intake safely. I've been using honey sparingly in my tea, and it's a nice, natural treat. Cutting sugar is like turning down the heat on inflammation. Your joints will thank you. Have you noticed how sugar affects your joints? Share your experience in the comments. Food 2. Processed and red meats. Next up is processed and red meats like bacon, sausages, hot dogs, and fatty cuts of beef or pork. These meats are staples in many Western diets, but they can be tough on your joints. Processed meats are high in preservatives and sodium, while red meats contain saturated fats that can increase inflammation, a key driver of joint pain after 60. The Journal of Rheumatology found that diets high in red and processed meats are linked to higher levels of inflammatory markers, which can worsen arthritis symptoms. My friend Linda, who's 68, loved her weekly bacon breakfast, but noticed her hands felt stiffer afterward. She cut back and added more fish, saying, "My fingers move so much better now." Processed meats also contain compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which can damage joint tissues over time. Why do these meats hurt your joints? The saturated fats trigger inflammatory responses, and the high sodium in processed meats can cause water retention, putting pressure on joints. Plus, these foods often crowd out healthier options like vegetables or lean proteins that support joint repair. Common culprits include deli meats, canned meats, and fast food burgers. Try swapping red and processed meats for anti-inflammatory proteins like salmon, chicken breast, or plant-based options like lentils or tofu. Aim to limit red meat to once or twice a week and processed meats to occasional treats. Grill or bake instead of frying to reduce harmful compounds. If you love the flavor of meat, try turkey bacon or lean cuts like sirloin. If you have gout or kidney issues, check with your doctor about meat intake. I've been experimenting with grilled salmon salads, and they're delicious and joint-friendly. Cutting back on these meats is like clearing a path for your joints to move freely. What's a meat swap you've tried or want to try? Let me know in the comments. Food 3. Fried foods. Fried foods, like French fries, fried chicken, or donuts, are another group to avoid for better joint health. These foods are often cooked in oils high in omega-6 fatty acids, which can tip the balance toward inflammation in your body. After 60, keeping inflammation in check is key to reducing joint pain and stiffness. A study in arthritis and rheumatology found that diets high in fried foods increase inflammation and worsen joint symptoms in people with arthritis. My cousin Jane, who's 70, used to grab fast food fries on busy days, but noticed her hips ached more. She switched to baked sweet potato wedges, and she says, "I feel lighter and less sore." Fried foods are also high in trans fats and calories, which can lead to weight gain, putting extra stress on weight-bearing joints like knees and hips. Why are fried foods so harmful? The cooking process creates inflammatory compounds, and the excess calories can strain your joints. Plus, fried foods often lack nutrients needed for joint repair like vitamin C and D. Common sources include fast food, fried snacks like chips, and even some restaurant appetizers like mozzarella sticks. Try baking, steaming, or air frying instead of deep frying. Air fryers are great for crispy textures without the oil. Swap fried snacks for roasted nuts or veggies with hummus. When eating out, choose grilled or baked options like a grilled chicken sandwich instead of fried. If you have heart disease or high cholesterol, work with a doctor to tailor your diet. I love my air-fried zucchini sticks. They're crunchy and kind to my joints. Avoiding fried foods is like easing the pressure on your joints. They can move more comfortably. Have you cut back on fried foods? Share your tips in the comments. Food 4. Refined carbohydrates. Refined carbohydrates, like white bread, pasta, white rice, and sugary cereals, are another food group to limit for joint health. These foods are stripped of nutrients and fiber, causing quick blood sugar spikes that trigger inflammation. After 60, managing inflammation is crucial to keep joints flexible and pain-free. The Journal of Nutrition found that diets high in refined carbs increase inflammatory markers, which can worsen joint pain in seniors. My friend David, who's 65, used to eat white toast every morning but felt stiffer afterward. He switched to whole grain bread, saying, "My joints feel less creaky now." Refined carbs also contribute to weight gain, which adds stress to joints, and they lack the nutrients needed for cartilage health. Why do refined carbs hurt? They're quickly digested into sugars, sparking inflammation and potentially leading to insulin resistance, which can affect joint tissues. Common sources include white flour products, instant noodles, and processed snacks like crackers or pretzels. Switch to whole grains like quinoa, brown rice, or whole wheat pasta, which have fiber to stabilize blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Try oatmeal or whole grain toast for breakfast, and choose snacks like popcorn or whole grain crackers. Check labels for whole grain as the first ingredient. If you have diabetes or gluten sensitivity, consult a dietitian for safe carb choices. I've been loving quinoa salads. They're filling and joint-friendly. Cutting refined carbs is like smoothing out the road for your joints. Less bumps, more ease. What's a whole grain you enjoy? Let me know in the comments. Before we continue, I want to say a huge thank you for being part of our Golden Wisdom Daily community. Your stories and support light up my day. If you're finding these joint health tips helpful, please hit that like button. It helps more people discover our videos. Share this with a friend or family member who wants to keep their joint happy. And if you haven't already, subscribe and click the bell icon for weekly tips on living your best life after 60. Let's keep spreading wisdom together. All right, let's dive back into those foods to avoid for better joint health. Food 5, excessive alcohol. Finally, let's talk about excessive alcohol. Beer, wine, spirits, or cocktails in large amounts. While a glass of wine now and then can be part of a healthy diet, drinking too much can harm your joints. Alcohol can increase inflammation, dehydrate your body, and interfere with joint repair, especially after 60 when recovery processes slow down. The Arthritis Foundation notes that excessive alcohol can worsen inflammation and interact with medications like those for arthritis, making joint pain worse. A study in Rheumatology International found that heavy drinking is linked to higher rates of joint inflammation in seniors. My neighbor Ellen, who's 69, used to enjoy nightly cocktails but noticed her hands felt swollen. She cut back to 1 glass of wine a week, saying, "My joints feel so much better." Why is alcohol a problem? It triggers inflammatory responses, dehydrates joint tissues, and can lead to weight gain, stressing your joints. It also depletes nutrients like calcium, needed for strong bones and joints. For those with gout, alcohol can trigger painful flare-ups. Stick to moderate drinking, no more than 1 drink per day for women, or 2 for men, per the dietary guidelines for Americans. Try non-alcoholic options like sparkling water with lime or herbal tea for evening relaxation. If you're on medications or have liver issues, check with your doctor about alcohol. I enjoy a mocktail with fresh fruit. It's festive and joint-friendly. Limiting alcohol is like giving your joint a break. They can heal and move better. Have you cut back on alcohol for your health? Share your story in the comments. There you have it, my friends. 5 foods to avoid for better joint health after 60. From cutting sugar and fried foods to limiting alcohol, these changes can help reduce inflammation, ease pain, and keep your joints moving smoothly. Healthy joints aren't about perfection. It's about making smart choices to feel your best. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which food are you thinking of cutting back on? Maybe you have your own joint health tips to share. Let's inspire each other. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend or a family member, and hit that subscribe button with the bell icon for more tips on living your best life after 60. Your support keeps Golden Wisdom Daily growing, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's such a joy to share this journey. Here's to healthy joints, vibrant days, and embracing every moment in your golden years. Keep shining, my friends, and I'll see you in the next video.